Hi, students. I'm going to make videos for all of the Prep Test 92 games. We have section 2 is games, and then there's also another section that is games. So there's a total of 8 games on Prep Test 92. I'm going to start off right now with section 2, game 1. If you see me glancing down, it's because I have that exam right there in front of me. I can't show it on the screen. So hopefully all of you either have the exam in front of you, or maybe you have Prep Plus pulled up in another window. And you can see I made a little Scantron over there on my right. The Scantron has 10 spots, but I think this game actually only has 7 questions. So let's start off looking at the diagram. This is basically just a one-to-one ordering game. We're just putting 6 things in order. And the names of the variables are F, H, J, K, L, and M. This is a standard one-to-one ordering game. So now let's look at our rules. The first rule is a relative sequencing rule, and it's going to look like this. And then our second rule can be merged into our first rule. I can just add it on. And you always want to remember that this string of LKF, they don't need to be all next to each other. They could be anywhere. They just need to be in that order. So it could be numbers 1, 5, and 6, number 2, 3, and 4. It doesn't matter as long as they're in that order. What about our next rule? So our next rule is a block. And then after this, we actually have 2 conditional rules. Yay! Everybody loves conditional rules. Everybody. We all love them. This is the first one. And I always write the contrapositive in underneath it. And for some reason, I like to indent it a little. I don't know why. It makes me happy. That's not, I want it to look neat. There we go. I think because the contrapositive is just as powerful as the original. Okay, so 1, 2, let's do last one. This is our very last rule. And so the contrapositive is, of course, as everybody knows, is reversed and negated. Whoops. And it's just as powerful as the original conditional. So you can think of it as like an extra rule, another restriction, which is good. That will help you. As you can see with our conditionals, it's going to be very easy for the contrapositive to like get triggered, so to speak. As soon as L is on 2 or 3 or anywhere except for 4, we have a rule we have to follow. Same with this. If J is on 1, if J is on 6, anything that is not 3, we have a rule that we now have to follow. So now that everything's all set up, I'm looking for a powerful inference. I'm not really seeing one. And I would go ahead and get started on the questions. So the first one is an apply the rules question. It's kind of a typical like complete and accurate list. So what I usually do for these is I just take one of the rules and I just like move it down the answer choices. And if an answer choice violates it, then it's wrong. So for instance, looking at, I could take this rule, this LKF string, and I'm going to look at A. A obeys that rule, so A is still in. B doesn't. B violates that rule. So I'm going to take B and say no. C is fine, and D is fine, E is fine. Usually each rule eliminates one, but not always. Sometimes the rule will eliminate more than one. So my next rule is I have this MJ block, and I am going to see which of these violates it. So A obeys that rule. C doesn't. C violates the MJ block rule. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And then the other D and E both follow that rule. So now we have our conditional rules. One of them says, if H is first, then. And I can see that A has H first. So does it follow the rule? Because the trigger was pulled, so it has to fulfill the outcome. And it doesn't. It doesn't put L on 4. So for that reason, I can go ahead and get rid of this. And then my two other answer choices that are left, which are D and E, they don't have H on 1, so it doesn't even matter. So what about my very last rule, which is over here, my last conditional, if F is the last guy, both D and E have F last. So I also, because F is last, J needs to be 3. And the problem is that on D, it violates that rule. So for that reason, E is the correct answer. E is the one. Let's make this really nice. We don't want the machine to make a mistake. This is how I took the exam. What was I saying? Yeah, E is the correct answer. Okay, we have that one. So let's look at number 2. So the second question asks us about like the smallest amount of variables. What is the smallest number of variables that could basically be to the left of F? What are the fewest, the minimum amount of variables that could be to the left of F? Well, I'm looking just at my original diagram and I'm thinking there's no way it could be less than 2 because we definitely need 2 other variables to the left of F. So for that reason, the correct answer is C. That is the minimum number. Okay, so 3 gives us a local condition or like a local rule. I have to write this one out. When they give me a local rule, I actually like to write the shorthand of the rule. So this is, let's see. They say if this happens, then where is H excluded from? I don't know. Let me look at my original diagram and see how that combines, how my original rules combine with this local rule. Because here's where it gets interesting. Here's how the original rules would combine with this rule. Things over a little bit. That's my original diagram combined with this local rule. So I am not sure where this would exclude H from. I know for sure H couldn't be in 1, because if I put H in 1, L has to be in 4, and that wouldn't work, because if I put H in 1, I'd have to put L in 2. Where else could H possibly not be? Let's see. 6. What would happen if I was to put H right here? H was in 5. Well, this would be a problem, because here's the thing, that MJ block, it needs to go somewhere in 1, 2, 3, 4, because of that block is always powerful. Even if I was to zhuzh it as far back as possible over here onto 3 and 4, that would still make L fall off the cliff over here. That wouldn't work. So there's no way for that H could be in 5. So that is why D is the correct answer. Normally you should preserve your work, but because I was finding a wrong answer here, I'm going to go ahead and erase it. Correct answer, D. What about number 4? This is about a maximum question. What is the greatest number of students who could be to the left of L? Oh, okay, interesting. Well, to me, it looks like the greatest number of students that could be that way of L. Here's what I'm thinking. L definitely needs to have 2 things behind it, right? So I think it's just this simple. If we were to push the LKF string all the way to the right, we would have 3 spaces in front of it, and I think that is the maximum. It's my dog. She's digging a hole. What about number 5? This is a global question. It's like a global cannot be true. I never like these, but that's okay. Let's look at what the correct answer is. The answer on this one is B. This is what I like to symbolize each one. So this is what B gives us, an HL block. So this couldn't happen. Why not? Because let's combine it with everything else. I'm combining this little local condition or local wrong answer, I guess you can call it, with the original rules. Here's where this wouldn't work. Where would we put this HL block? There's no way I could put it in 1 and 2, because if H is in 1, L has to be in 4. So that wouldn't work. So let's try zhuzhing it down the line a little bit. Let's move it to the right. Let's do it like that. Well, now this is a problem too, because I need K and F to come over to the right, like somewhere over here of L. And then where am I going to put my MJ block? That's a block. It's very powerful. It can't go in the first spot because it wouldn't be able to smush. The MJ block needs to be either here or here, and in either case, how can I fit K and F into those spots then? So this is the issue. So that is why the correct answer is B. Okay, number 5. Okay, awesome. This is the ones I like. This gives me a local condition. It gives me a local, sorry, let me remove some more stuff here. It gives me a thing that I can fulfill. It gives me a condition I can fulfill, and then I can just kind of go from there. In fact, I usually just do the local ones first and then go from there, but I'm doing them in order just for the sake of the videos. This is what they're telling me. If this is true, and then they say what must be true, what is always going to be true. So as I look at this, I'm thinking they gave me H, and H is attached to a conditional, but other than that, not attached to anything else. So everything else that I need to fulfill is the LKF string and the MJ block. The MJ block is going to be, I think, the most powerful, because there's only 3 places I can place it. I could put it up front right here. I could also put it right here. And I can also put it right here. Except the first option, it won't work, because I'd have to fill in L, K, and F like that, and that can't happen. That's not going to work, because if F is in 6, then J is in 3. So that actually violates one of my rules. I can go ahead and get rid of that. But that works. That's an allowable option. And I could also fill it in like this. And that works too. So I have two options that fulfill this local condition. So no matter what, L will have to be first. That's A. That's the thing that has to be true. All right, last one. Let's see. Ooh, this is asking about who was excluded from the second position. So what do I know? Well, I know that I can actually cross out some of these because I'm looking at my previous work. So I don't have my glasses on. I know I can get rid of, I know that M and K both can be. So I can get rid of E and C. Anything else? What about the correct answer to the first one also had M in second, so that doesn't give me any new information, but at least got rid of a couple of things using my previous work. So let's see. what happens when I put L in 2? Well, I know that K and F, well, I'm sorry, let me start off by saying, because L is in 2, that actually triggers a rule. So I always write down, your contrapositives, kids, always. Because L is in 2, L isn't in 4. So we have to make sure that we exclude H from position 1. What else needs to get filled in? Well, I know that we have an MJ block and we also have this K and F. All of those things are going to have to come after L because MJ block obviously can only go somewhere back here. It can't go in number 1 by itself. That makes no sense. Also, we're going to have K and F back here because they have to be after L. So we're going to have a total of 4 variables in 3, 4, 5, and 6. The only possible way for H to be assigned now would be a number 1, but we already said we can't do that. So L cannot be a number 2, and that is the correct answer. That's it. Okay, thank y'all so much for watching my video. I have contact information below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.